I'm Shawn Edwards, CCA board member and executive producer of Celebration of Black Cinema and Television. And this is In Conversation with Michael B. Jordan and Wunmi Mosaku. How are you?
How are you?
I'm fabulous, but let's talk about this incredible movie called Sinners, because that's why we're here. And I'll start first with you, Wunmi, because at the start of this is this narration that sets the whole thing into motion. And what a lot of people don't give actors credit for is that voice recording and narration is most definitely acting. So, what was your preparation for that? Or what notes did Ryan give you? Or what did you go into? Because that beginning narration sets the tone for the entire film. And you did such an excellent job of doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That wasn't part of the script that we read. So we shot the whole film. We saw a cut of the film in December. And then I was asked to come in January to add this dialogue at the beginning. So I knew what the film felt like, and I knew the story, but like I knew how it had changed in the edit. And it was nice to find her vocal palette again, and then to find this like it was just so perfectly written. Again, I always say that everything that Ryan writes is like it's just perfect. It's just complete and whole. And so I think we did work on it for a little bit, because it was finding Annie again and then timing it, but also just like getting the full depth and of the this is the introduction. I didn't know it was going to be used again later on, which was nice, a nice little surprise.
It was such a nice touch. And you mentioned you got a chance to become Annie again. And I'm going to tell you what, when I was watching the film, I was like, I literally felt like, girl, you are from the deepest of the deep South, because you were killing it with the accent. How hard was it to accomplish that? Because not only do you have to like perfect the Southern accent, but you got to take it back to that particular time period, which isn't like the accents of today.
Yeah, it was tough, but it was a challenge that I really enjoyed. I really love accent work. And it's funny how accents bring out different things for me. I'm realizing this. Like I just did an accent that was quite triggering for me. It was like a posh English accent. I was like, I don't fuck with that. But there's a lot of like judgment there. And so like with Annie, I guess there's a judgment, and for me, I loved her, and I revered her. So it was really I don't know, it was just kind of like it felt like I was nervous. I was nervous every day, trying to make sure that I was accurate. Being in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and hearing the differences in the New Orleans accent. And my driver, Miss Mary, she said something like, "Oh, he was acting like he was from Treme, but he didn't sound like that. He was from CBD. I was not CBD.
Don't get me lined.
Central, but yeah, CBD. She was like, I could tell that he didn't do his accent work correctly, and these two areas are like a mile apart, and she could tell the difference. So the pressure was high.
Miss Mary kept you on your toes.
She did.
Nah, well, hey, we got to give Miss Mary extra kudos because you delivered it, and because you delivered it so well, it really helped to like really bring that character to full life. So I mean, job well done on that. And for you, Michael, I mean, it's well noted, it's well documented. You worked with Ryan Coogler several times, but I still have to ask, do you guys have this sort of like cinematic language that only the two of you speak that you developed over time? And how does that help you as a professional actor to deliver what you have to deliver, particularly in this film where you play two different characters?
I mean, I think it's just like in the simplest form is just chemistry. It's a shorthand. If you ever played like any team sports or any team, anything, the fact that you can have somebody that you don't need a lot of communication with to understand what the person wants and needs or what they're trying to accomplish and achieve, it just makes it easier to get to your goals. And we've grown together for the past 15 years, and that's, that counts for something. And it's sometimes it's hard to put in words, but when we're collaborating on things, and like Wunmi was saying, like there's when Ryan writes things, they're pretty complete. A lot of it was on the page. I just had to do my part, and um, you know, making the twins feel, the same but different, and very and very, very specific young men. And yeah, but what was really helpful to that is like having incredible sing partners, the way Smoke and Annie, their dynamic and their relationship really helped me define Smoke in a big way. How the rest of the world treated Smoke, how the rest of the world treated Stack. It kept me kept the North Star, and the goal of what success was, kept it pretty clear.
Okay, so Michael, tell me, like this double performance was so brilliantly executed. Like, sort of talk about the game plan going in and the discussions you had with Ryan before you got started on the process to make it all happen.
No, that's thank you for the kind words, man. The preparation was intense. I think starting with the childhood trauma and figuring out, what was the thing that kind of molded them and shaped them at the earliest stages. I think we all have some childhood trauma that kind of, you know, molds who we are in our personality at some way, shape, or form. And for the twins, that happened probably around the death of their father, and Smoke internalizes a lot of his pain. He doesn't speak a lot, he doesn't have a lot to say. It's actually too painful for him to talk about. Stack, hides his trauma and his charisma and his charm and his wit, and smiles his way through his pain, and doesn't really doesn't take a he's very non-serious with a lot of things. So, and prep for that was just, talking to identical twins that I've had the opportunity to meet. Um, you know, Understanding the nuance and the specialness and the unique dynamic that identical twins have, and trying to dive into that. Usually identical twins, one's really, really good at something, the other one's not so good at, because they're always around the brother who is, so that they become codependent in that way. Listening to music was really helpful for me in defining the two brothers. Wardrobe was helpful. I wore a size 2 big shoe for Smoke, just to kind of keep him um from feeling like he can move around a lot. I wanted Smoke to stay grounded and kind of like and planted, and Stack I wore a half size too small, because I wanted him to constantly just be a little antsy, constantly wanting to move around, and not be stuck on one thing for too long. So, those elements were super helpful. And then honestly, at the core, realizing that, this movie is really is about our ancestors. It's about our, our grandparents, and our, my grandparents, our great grandparents. And we growing up, you typically only know your grandmother, as being an older person. And you forget that grandma was 25 at one point, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had friends and probably went to juke joints and parties and things of that nature. So when that kind of clicked for me, I was like, oh man, this is something that I'm making a movie for my grandparents. Like, this is them when they were young. They were entrepreneurs. They were trying to get a piece of their freedom. They were just trying to have a good time in the deep South Jim Crow era. So when you're out in Louisiana, and you're out in those sugarcane fields and the cotton fields, and you realize that this was their life, and this was their reality. And it's kind of it's it's you carry that weight with you every day you go to set. So having all those elements and putting all that together, and then just showing up and doing the work, is kind of my approach. Long-winded answer to that, but you know.
Nah, but it's a great answer. And also at the core of this movie that, I really want to center on, it's also an amazing love story. And I want to talk to you, Wumi, about that, and bringing Annie's character to life and working with Michael to make that story thread so believable and so authentic. You know, what did you do in the research process to really help you infuse and make that happen so legitimately and authentically? What did you do?
I feel like we've always had we from the moment we met we just got on and we were able to share quite easily with each other. Even in my like chemistry read with him, it just felt like the there were no guards up. And I think we spent the rehearsal period just getting to know each other and sharing and making sure that like we had a safe and sacred space to share, to talk about grief, to talk about love, to talk about hopes, faith, all the things that we care about.
Mhm.
And so we we had this kind of sacred space where we felt we had each other's backs.
Good time.
And we just had this way of like moving within the space, especially, I feel like, especially after Stack's death, there was just like, without thinking about it, we were kind of like, I was always kind of behind him. I was kind of always just on off camera. I was kind of just always like, whilst he was to help protect his mental space for what he had to carry of the loss of his brother, his twin brother. I don't know, it just felt like really organic and easy. It didn't feel like work. It just felt like,
This is what we're supposed to be doing.
yeah, we were partners in it.
Mm.
And it was so clear. Like, it just felt so clear. And Michael's specificity with Stack and Smoke, like his face looked different to me. Even today, I was just saying to him, he looks different to me today because he doesn't look like Smoke and he doesn't look like Stack to me. He looks like Michael. But I just spent like 4 months with knowing Smoke's face like inside out. And I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, don't know how he.
Who is the stranger?
I don't know how he did it. And just listening to that, because this is the first time I've heard you talk about the shoes, the size of the shoes. I'm like, oh, genius. Like those things make such a difference. His cadence was different. His energy was different. I could tell with my back turned if he was Smoke or Stack. I really didn't need to look. I just felt like we were tethered.
Good time.
Or that we were not, because
That's really it's really, I mean, that's really amazing. That's like such a huge compliment to your performance, Michael. And I will ask you, did you have a particular scene that was not actually one of your favorites, but one that presented sort of a challenge to you, but you really felt satisfied about it because you overcame that particular challenge?
I would say when Smoke first came home, because I knew the importance of the scene. You know, I know how important it was the first time the twins split up when they were going to go meet up with their significant others after like, being away for X amount of years. How important that moment and that scene was. Seeing Smoke return home, you got an opportunity to see who Smoke was at its core. And that was something that I wasn't nervous. It was more excited and anxious to get to. Um, it was a moment where Smoke and Annie really defined you understood them, and that was setting the tone for the rest of the movie. Their dynamic, you understood how Smoke felt about certain things. You understood how Annie felt about certain things, and then you understood why they felt the way about each other. And I think that was like really, really powerful writing and performances. Like it was one of my favorite days on set that I could remember. Uh and into the safe space and feeling comfortable and and making sure she's good and she's making sure I get what I need and vice does she have what she needs and 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 um and then mourning over this loss, of this baby that we don't mention. We just kind of understand. And we developed a nonverbal communication, between us that I thought was pretty powerful and helped me sit in my characters as much as I could. And, you know, yeah, just the nuance, the blocking, the interactions between Smoke and Annie at that house, I thought was just like truly special. And every time I think about it, I feel good because it's not a false moment in that entire process. Even Annie, the way she handles the children that are in the shop and what that means to her and what that meant to Smoke to even witness that and to see it, it was just beautiful. So I would say that's probably one of the moments that I look forward to the most, and really, really excited when I felt like we got it right.
Well, I appreciate that answer. Thank you. And I also appreciate the fact that you guys delivered one hell of a movie. It's been a long time since I went and watched the movie on repeat. So I want to thank you for your contributions to Sinners. I want to thank you for your contributions just to Black cinema in general, for all the things that you guys have done in your entire career. And thanks once again for your time today.